The sun had barely risen in Mechanicville, a small town in the north of the state of New York, when 86-year-old Kitty Ford was already on her feet. As on all days after a Warriors game, she followed her sacred ritual. The old coffee maker hummed in the kitchen while she adjusted her glasses on her face, wrinkled by time. Her hands, marked by decades of work and family love, trembled slightly as she opened the drawer of the wooden desk that had belonged to her late husband. From there, she took out a notebook carefully covered with a photo of the Golden State Warriors lifting the 2022 NBA championship trophy. In the center of the image, he stood out, Steph Curry, holding the most valuable player trophy of the finals, with that smile that Kitty always described as lit from within. "Let's see how my boy did last night," she murmured to herself, opening the notebook to a page marked with a golden paperclip. Kitty's notebook was not like any other. It was a meticulous chronicle of Steph Curry's career. Each page contained notes from games, points scored, assists, rebounds, steals, and, of course, three-point shots. Next to the numbers, small personal comments, incredible movement in the third quarter, or needed to pass the ball on that play. As if Curry could hear her advice through the pages. Kitty had never been a basketball fan until she watched a Warriors game by chance in 2014. That day, something about Curry's playing style captivated her. "He reminds me of my boys," she told her family at the time. Her sons had been athletes in high school, and for years she had watched every game they played, keeping similar records in small notebooks. When her sons grew up, she lost that connection to the sport, until she met Curry. "He plays with joy," she explained to anyone who asked. "It's not about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about intelligence, hard work, and believing in something greater than yourself." Her 23-year-old granddaughter Maddie grew up hearing her grandmother's comments about Curry. At first, she found it amusing, almost eccentric, how her grandmother spoke of him as if he were a distant family member. Over time, however, she began to realize that this connection represented something deeper. "Grandma, did you watch the game last night?" Maddie asked, entering the kitchen during a weekend visit. "Of course I did," Kitty replied animatedly. 3 points in the overtime. Last seconds. My heart almost couldn't take it. Maddie watched as her grandmother carefully noted down the numbers, consulting the official statistics on her old tablet. A gift from her grandchildren so she could follow the games when they weren't broadcast on local TV. "You know you already have a whole section in the notebook just for clutch shots in the last minutes, right?" Kitty commented, turning a few pages to show her granddaughter. "That boy has nerves of steel." That morning, between sips of coffee and notes, Maddie had an idea. She took out her phone and began filming discreetly while her grandmother talked about the previous night's game. "Grandma, show the camera how you organize the notebook," she asked, finally revealing that she was recording. Kitty was initially embarrassed, but soon her pride in her meticulous work took over. She showed the sections organized by seasons, the special games highlighted with gold stickers, and even the special spot in the living room, where she kept a bobblehead of Curry, strategically placed next to religious figures, a place of honor in her home. "You know what he says here?" Kitty asked, showing a magazine with a highlighted quote. "He says, 'I hope to inspire people around the world to simply be themselves, be humble, and be grateful for all the blessings in their lives. That's why I like him so much. He understands what really matters.'" Maddie continued filming while her grandmother explained how she watched all the games on NBA League Pass, a streaming service she had learned to use on her own, determined not to miss a single game. "One day, before I leave this world, I would like to see him play in person, just to thank him for all the joy he has brought to my days, Kitty confided, with a gleam in her eyes that mixed dream and resignation. That night, without great expectations, Maddie edited the video, added some explanatory captions, and posted it on TikTok with the caption, "My 86-year-old grandmother is the biggest Steph Curry fan you've ever seen." What she didn't imagine was that those simple images, capturing genuine and pure devotion, were about to change everything. The next morning began like any other for Maddie, waking up, checking her phone notifications, making coffee. But something was different. Her phone wouldn't stop vibrating with alerts. "What's going on?" she murmured, still sleepy, opening the TikTok app. The numbers in front of her didn't make sense. 500,000 views, 800,000, 1 million. The numbers kept rising. Her grandmother's video had gone viral overnight. Comments flooded the section below the video. "This lady is the definition of a loyal fan. Please, someone needs to make sure Steph Curry sees this. I'm crying seeing her love for the game and for Curry. It reminds me of my grandmother." Maddie picked up the phone and immediately called her grandmother's house. "Grandma, are you sitting down? Because you won't believe what happened." In the following hours, Maddie tried to explain to Kitty what it meant to go viral, while the story continued to gain traction. Basketball fans across the country identified with the purity of Kitty's love for the game and for Curry. In San Francisco, the Warriors' social media team was in a frenzy. The video had reached them through reposts from basketball influencers. During a morning meeting, they decided to share it on their official platforms. Grandma Kitty keeps a notebook to track every game Steph plays. In March, she'll have the chance to see Steph and the Warriors play live, read the caption of the Warriors' post on Twitter. The magic of the internet continued its work. In a few hours, Kitty Ford's story had been featured during commercial breaks on ESPN, mentioned on basketball podcasts, and shared by NBA players. "Maddie, do you have a minute to talk?" The message came from an official email from the Golden State Warriors organization. "Courtside would like to talk about your grandmother and a special project." Maddie almost dropped the phone. After a brief conversation, she agreed to the plan, but the hardest part would be keeping it a secret from her grandmother. The Warriors wanted to surprise her with something special. Meanwhile, Kitty continued her routine, unaware of the storm of attention that was brewing. She was noting down the statistics from the most recent game when Maddie arrived for a casual visit. "Grandma, what do you think about a family lunch on Sunday? It's been a while since we all got together." "Of course, dear," Kitty replied, not imagining that the preparations for the biggest moment of her life as a fan were already underway. Sunday arrived with the pretext of a family lunch. Kitty's children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren attended, creating a festive atmosphere that perfectly disguised the real reason for the gathering. After the meal, when everyone was comfortably seated in the living room, Maddie asked for everyone's attention. "Grandma, we have a little surprise for you," she announced, connecting her phone to the television. Kitty's heart almost stopped when the image appeared on the screen. It was him, Steph Curry, looking directly at the camera, with that familiar smile she had seen hundreds of times, but never speaking directly to her. "Hello, Mrs. Kitty," Curry began in the video, his radiant smile filling the screen. "I want to say thank you for being such a loyal fan, and for supporting our team. I heard that you watch all of our games on League Pass, and that you keep a special notebook where you track all of our statistics." Kitty's hands flew to cover her mouth, her eyes wide in a mixture of shock and joy. Around her, Her family filmed her reaction, capturing the exact moment when reality surpassed the dream. "We would love to have you and your special notebook," Curry continued. "You don't need to watch on League Pass anymore. You can come see us in the person. We're inviting you to our game against the Brooklyn Nets on March 6th at the Barclays Center. We hope to see you there." The video ended, but the silence in the room remained for a few seconds before being broken by the soft sound of Kitty's crying. They weren't tears of sadness, but of pure and uncontained happiness. Is this real?" she finally asked, looking at the smiling faces of her family. "Yes, Grandma," Maddie confirmed, holding her trembling hands. "The team reached out after seeing the video I posted. They want you to come to the game in March. Everything is arranged. The tickets, the accommodation, everything. And yes, you'll meet Steph Curry in person." The following days were filled with a youthful energy that Kitty hadn't felt in decades. She meticulously reviewed her notebook, making sure every page was perfect. She chose and reconsidered what to wear dozens of times. She mentally prepared the questions she would ask if she had the chance to. Talk to Curry. "What if he thinks I'm just a silly old woman?" she asked Maddie one night, insecurity momentarily overshadowing her excitement. "Grandma, he specifically asked for you to bring your notebook. He's genuinely interested in your work, in your support," Maddie reassured her. As the big day approached, Kitty's story continued to grow online. Fans across the country promised to watch the game just to witness the meeting. Sports journalists prepared special reports. Finally, March 6th arrived. The trip from Mechanicville to Brooklyn was filled with anxiety and anticipation. Kitty, wearing an official Warriors jersey with Curry's number 30, held her precious notebook on her lap as if it were an invaluable treasure. And to her, it truly was. When the family arrived at the Barclays Center, they were greeted by Warriors representatives who escorted them to prime seats near the court. The timing was perfect. The players were about to start warming up. And then he appeared. Steph Curry, in the flesh, just a few meters away, shooting three-pointers with that ease that Kitty so admired. An inexplicable force took hold of her. For every shot Curry made during warm-ups, Kitty applauded enthusiastically, drawing the attention not only of the people around her, but eventually of the star himself. In the middle of warm-ups, Curry looked in her direction, noticing the elderly lady in the Warriors jersey applauding fervently. He smiled and waved discreetly, a small gesture that made Kitty's heart race. "He saw me, Maddie! He waved at me!" she exclaimed, squeezing her granddaughter's arm with a surprising strength for someone her age. The game that followed seemed to come straight out of Kitty's dreams. Curry was inspired, as if he were playing especially for his special guest. Impossible shots, magical passes, and a contagious energy that electrified the arena. In the third quarter, Curry made a half-court shot that sent the crowd into a frenzy. As he ran back on defense, he looked directly at Kitty and made his famous night-night gesture, as if dedicating that moment to her. Tears streamed freely down Kitty's wrinkled face. In 86 years of life, few moments had been as perfect as this one. The game ended with an impressive Warriors victory, fueled by Curry's 40 points, including 7 three-pointers. The crowd began to disperse, but Kitty's family was instructed to remain in their seats. "Mrs. Ford, if you could just wait a few more minutes," said one of the Warriors' representatives with a knowing smile. Kitty's heart, which had barely calmed down after the excitement of the game, started racing again. She knew what was coming, but it still seemed impossible to believe. 20 minutes later, after the post-game interviews, he appeared. Steph Curry, still in his game uniform, walked directly towards Kitty, who was sitting in her wheelchair, the notebook firmly held against her chest. "Mrs. Kitty," Curry said, crouching down, to be at her level. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person." For a moment, Kitty was speechless, a rare occurrence for someone who always had something to say about basketball. Silent tears streamed down her face as she extended her trembling hand, which Curry gently held. "You played wonderfully tonight," she finally managed to say, her voice choked with emotion. "That half-court shot. I knew it would go in. I always know." Curry laughed, genuinely touched by the comment. "I heard you have a special notebook," he said. "May I see it?" With reverent care, Kitty opened the notebook. The pages were yellowed with time, some with coffee stains, all filled with her meticulous handwriting. Statistics, observations, carefully glued newspaper clippings. A detailed chronicle of Curry's career seen through the eyes of someone who never lost faith in him, even in the toughest moments. "This is incredible," Curry murmured, flipping through the pages with genuine awe. "You really noted down every game?" "Every single one," Kitty confirmed with pride. "Even the ones where you didn't play so well. Especially those." Curry stopped at a specific page where Kitty had glued the quote that meant so much to her. "I hope to inspire people around the world to simply be themselves, be humble, and be grateful for all the blessings in their lives." "That's my favorite part," Kitty explained. "You know, in 86 years of life, I've learned that a person's character is what really matters. It's not the trophies. It's not the medals. It's how you treat others, how you face adversity, how you maintain your humility even when the world is at your feet." She paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "My sons were athletes," she continued. "Not professionals like you, just high school boys. But I always told them that an athlete's value isn't just in their talent, but in their heart. When I saw you play on TV for the first time, I told them, 'Do you know this player? He plays with heart.' And do you know what they gave me for Mother's Day a few years ago?" Kitty showed Curry a card carefully tucked between the pages of the notebook. She read it aloud. "Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Thank you for teaching us to love God, each other, and Steph Curry." The laughter that escaped Curry's lips was genuine, but his eyes shone with contained emotion. "Mr. Curry," Kitty continued, now holding his hand with surprising firmness, "you probably don't fully understand the impact you have on people's lives. It's not just the basketball. It's seeing someone who, despite all the challenges, people saying you were too short, too skinny, not strong enough, persisted and triumphed without losing your essence. You gave me something to look forward to on days when the world seemed too dark, too lonely. You brought joy to my old age." The silence that followed had weight, meaning. Curry, usually eloquent in interviews, seemed to search for the right words. "Mrs. Kitty," he finally said, "people like you are the reason we play. Not the contracts, not the commercials, not the shoes with our name on them. It's knowing that somehow, for some reason, what we do matters to someone." He turned and asked something from one of the assistants, who quickly brought a Warriors jersey. It wasn't a regular jersey. It had the number 30, but the name on the back wasn't Curry. It was Grandma Kitty. "I wanted to have something special for you," Curry explained, handing over the autographed jersey. "To thank you for being more than a fan, for being an inspiration." Kitty's eyes widened in surprise and joy as she received the gift. She ran her fingers over the letters of her nickname as if to confirm it was real. And I've never had anyone cheering every shot I made during warm-ups, Curry added with a smile. That gave me extra energy. This win was for you. The words were interrupted by announcements that Curry needed to head to the locker room. But before leaving, he leaned in and gently hugged Kitty, a moment captured by dozens of cameras, but one that for the two of them felt intimate, as if the rest of the world had disappeared. "Thank you for reminding me why I love this game," Curry whispered. "Thank you for making me believe in dreams, even at 86 years old," Kitty replied. A few weeks later, back in Mechanicville, Kitty sat in her favorite chair, the notebook open to a new section titled "The Day I Met Steph." The framed jersey with "Grandma Kitty" occupied the place of honor on the wall, next to family photos. In Golden State, Curry kept an unexpected photo in his locker, himself next to an elderly lady with a notebook. On it, a simple handwritten dedication. To Steph, may you continue to inspire generations with your grace, humility, and heart. With love, your fan, Grandma Kitty. Two spirits connected by the transformative power of sport, dedication, and unwavering belief that sometimes the greatest heroes aren't those who lift trophies, but those who lift others with their example. For Kitty, the notebook would never be the same. It now had an even greater purpose, to bear witness not only to the feats of an exceptional athlete, but also to a moment when an impossible dream became reality, proving that we're never too old to believe. And for Steph Curry, among all the records, awards, and glories, there was now a new milestone. The day he understood, through the eyes of an 86-year-old woman, the true meaning of his legacy.